Why do some people make a lot of money, but still end up losing almost everything? It sounds strange, because we usually assume that if someone is smart enough to make a lot of money, they should also be smart enough to keep it. But in reality, making money and keeping money are not the same thing. They may belong to the same game, but they require very different mindsets. To make money, people often need confidence. You have to believe that you can create something bigger than your current life. You have to take action, step into uncertainty, and accept some level of risk. If you are always too careful, you may never start. If you are always afraid of being wrong, you may never take the opportunity in front of you. So when it comes to making money, a little optimism, a little risk-taking, and a little belief in yourself are almost necessary. But once you have money, the game begins to change. The same confidence that helped you move forward can also become the thing that makes you fall. Confidence can slowly turn into the belief that you cannot be wrong. One big win can make you feel like you finally understand the game. A lucky period can start to feel like pure skill. And when people begin to believe they control more than they actually do, they often make decisions that are bigger than what they can really survive. Jesse Livermore is a powerful example of this. He was one of the most famous traders in history. During the stock market crash of 1929, while many people were losing money, Livermore was on the other side of the trade. He predicted the market correctly, shorted it, and made an enormous amount of money. While everyone else was panicking, he became richer than ever. If the story ended there, he would look like the perfect symbol of financial intelligence and courage. But the most interesting, and also the saddest, part is that his victory did not only bring him money, it also gave him a dangerous feeling, the feeling that he was different from everyone else. After a huge win, it is very hard for a person to stay humble. You begin to think that if you were right once, you can be right again. If you won big once, maybe you can win even bigger next time. The bets become larger. The line between confidence and overconfidence becomes harder to see. And eventually, Livermore lost almost everything. The important part is that he did not fail because he was stupid. He was extremely intelligent. That is what makes the story worth thinking about. In money, intelligence does not automatically protect you from mistakes. Sometimes, the smarter a person is, the easier it is for them to believe they can handle anything. But the market, business, work, and life do not care how smart you are. They only need one moment where you go too far. Maybe that is why, in finance, survival matters more than most people think. Not survival in the sense of being afraid all the time and never doing anything, but survival in the sense of understanding that once you are removed from the game, every future opportunity becomes meaningless. You can be right many times, but if one mistake is large enough to wipe you out, all the previous wins may no longer matter. This is what makes keeping money different from making money. Making money often pushes people to look forward. What is the next opportunity? How can I grow faster? How can I get more? But keeping money forces people to ask a different kind of question. What if things do not go according to plan? What if the market falls? What if my income drops? What if I am wrong? These questions are not exciting. They do not create a strong emotional rush. They do not make someone look ambitious. But sometimes, these quiet questions are exactly what prevent a person from losing what they have built. Warren Buffett is often talked about as a great investor. But if you look more closely, a large part of his success does not only come from the decisions he made. It also comes from the things he avoided. He did not put himself into a level of debt that could destroy him. He did not try to prove he was right in every market cycle. He did not place the entire game on one single decision. In other words, he gave himself enough time to keep surviving. And time is extremely important when it comes to money. Compounding does not need you to win big all the time. It needs you to avoid being interrupted. It needs you to stay in the game long enough. A person may grow more slowly for a few years, but if they avoid the kind of mistake that destroys everything, they may go much further than someone who rises quickly and collapses in one bad moment. In everyday life, this is easier to see than we think. When income increases, people often begin to upgrade their lifestyle. A better house, a better car, more expensive trips, things that feel more suitable for their new image. Each decision may seem reasonable on its own. No one feels like they are destroying their finances just because they upgraded a little. But slowly, the new lifestyle begins to require more and more money just to maintain. The problem is not enjoying life. Having money but never allowing yourself to live better would not make much sense either. But there is a very thin line between enjoying life and depending on everything continuing to go well. If someone's entire lifestyle only works when income keeps rising, the market keeps growing, and work stays stable, then even a small unexpected event can shake everything. Maybe that is why people who keep money for a long time often have a different kind of calmness. They are not always the ones making money the fastest. They do not always look like they are winning. But they have space. They have a margin of safety. They can survive bad periods without panic selling, borrowing desperately, or making decisions from fear. Keeping money can look boring. And maybe it is boring. It does not have the dramatic feeling of making a large amount of money overnight. Sometimes keeping money is simply not buying one more thing you do not need. Not borrowing too much. Not investing in something you do not understand. And not allowing one decision to damage everything else. But maybe that boredom is the point. Making money gets attention because it has movement. Keeping money gets less attention because sometimes it is the art of standing still at the right time. Not doing the wrong thing. Not getting carried away. Not letting your ego become bigger than your ability to handle risk. In the end, this is not really a story about being afraid of risk, or about living too carefully. Maybe it is just a reminder that making money and keeping money are two different tests. One tests whether you have the courage to take an opportunity. The other tests whether you have the humility not to destroy what you have already built. And sometimes, lasting wealth does not come from one brilliant decision. It comes from avoiding a few terrible ones. The long-term winner is not always the person who is right all the time. Sometimes, it is simply the person who can be wrong without being wiped out. Patient enough to stay in the game. And humble enough to remember that the money made today can still disappear tomorrow if risk is forgotten.